Welcome to the show, and right here on set, I am joined by Dr. Brian Tabani, who is the Chief Clinical Officer from the Kenya Association for the Welfare of People with Epilepsy. I'm also joined by Catherine right here, who has survived this condition for, I think, almost 10 or more years. Is it?
10.
10 years.
Yes.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Good to have you. Daktari, and even before we start, we just want to know what this epilepsy means.
So epilepsy is a brain disorder which is characterized by repeated unprovoked seizures. And these seizures are usually more than 24 hours apart in 1 year. And before we know already about the epilepsy, it's good also to understand what is a seizure. And a seizure is where there is an abnormal brain function, and it is characterized by change of behavior to this person's feelings and body movements, and even affects the level of consciousness to this person.
Okay, that makes sense. And Catherine, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You've gone through episodes of epilepsy and these seizures. How was it for you?
It was tough at first because I've never experienced it before, and I've never seen anyone in my family or even a neighbor having something like that. And it was tough to speak about it because, especially in our society, most people believe that you are bewitched. Yeah, so you can't go around.
The myths and misconceptions.
Yeah.
At what age did it get to occur?
At 23. Yeah.
You're an adult already.
Yes.
Daktari, according to her story, at 23, she's already an adult.
Yes.
So at what age does it occur?
So epilepsy is, since it affects the brain,
Yeah.
it can affect the brain at any age. Okay? So whether you are a child, you are an adult, but it's very common in extreme ages, very young and very old.
What actually causes this condition?
Yeah, so epilepsy is, as I said, is a brain condition. So anything that will injure the brain will cause you to have a seizure, because the seizure is one of the ways the brain is complaining there's a problem. Since the brain, there's very little research on it, there's very scarce information about it. Majority of the causes are unknown, about 40–50% of the cases. But the remaining percentage now you can relate to those injuries to the brain, which include road traffic accident, and you get head injury, in short, head injuries through a road traffic accident, fall, or wherever, or assault, whatever way. And then we have other things like space-occupying lesions, where you have foreign things like a clot in the brain, cyst, even cancer. It can cause you to have epilepsy. Other things include infections that move to the brain. These include cerebral malaria, meningitis. Those infections that close to the brain can cause injuries there. We have substance abuse, where you know, in the current world, people abuse a lot of drugs. So it can also lead to someone having epilepsy.
Yeah.
Other things include, especially in children, includes the conception until delivery period. It's called perinatal period. So when
During birth?
Yes, even during birth. So this perinatal period involves since conception. So maybe there was a problem in terms of development of the baby and all that, and then maybe brain is also one of the organs that was affected. And that's why you'll find people with hydrocephalus. Hydrocephalus is where they have a big head, others they have small. It means the development of that brain head issues.
Okay.
Yes, so if there's a problem during development, it can easily also cause you to have epilepsy. And while pregnant, sometimes while pregnant, complications can happen, where maybe you have you start to bleed as a mother and all that. It will deny the baby the nutrients and oxygen, so organs will not develop well. So it can also lead, and then during delivery, if delivery had issues, prolonged, especially prolonged labor, when you have a lot prolonged labor and intervention is not done early enough, you can also develop seizures after maybe delivery and all that as a child. Yeah, but as I said, majority of the causes are unknown. Others are, there are so many, especially, there are so many, but most of them, they are those that I've talked to, and others include when your brain is suffocated. For example, you are caught in a fire, you have drowned, that near drowning period. If you are saved before you die, you know, the brain has already got some injury. So it can cause you to have epilepsy.
Okay. And Catherine, for you, was the cause determined, perhaps by the doctors?
Maybe stress.
Stress?
Yes.
Okay. And how was it for you, perhaps, dealing with it all through the years? You've lived with it for 10 years.
10 years.
What was the experience like?
It was a tough one because at some point I even went into depression due to denial, you know. People thinking, mostly from my family, not the extended family, they thought at some point I'm kind of bewitched because there's no one in my family who has epilepsy. Yes.
And dealing with friends, how was it for you? In your social circle?
It's very small because it's still difficult to open up to them because I don't know how they'll take it, whether they'll accept me. Yes.
How often were your seizures happening?
In the past?
Yeah.
A lot.
Really?
Yes, before I accepted myself, because you see, I have a sickness and at the same time I'm stressed.
So you were not taking care of it at all?
No, I wasn't taking care of it. And then, you know, living alone. I was a mother, a wife, all the responsibilities are on me. And yeah.
It was difficult.
It was difficult.
I can see you're finding it even hard for you to explain and remember. We are so sorry about bringing the past now here.
Yeah.
But it's a part of the process of healing as well.
Sure.
Daktari, and she's mentioned she's a mother. And were you a mother before? Were you a mother when you got the epilepsy?
After.
After. So.
No, before.
Before.
Yes, before.
So it happened before.
Actually, I would like to a little bit go back to what she was saying about the misconceptions.
Okay.
You know, since there's a scarcity of information about it, people try to fill it with something to complete it. So that's why it has a lot of misconceptions. People think you are cursed. People think you are bewitched. People think that family has a lot of misfortunes.
Yeah.
Even others think it is madness. Those people are mad. You know.
And even as we're even going along with this, perhaps someone might have it and don't even know what the symptoms look like. You can even mention that as you continue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it has a lot of misconceptions that will lead to a lot of stigmatization. Because the bigger problem in this is stigma. People think they have their own way of interpreting things. When you talk about the symptoms, you will have to go down to the type so that people really understand what you are talking about. So the partial means it affects a small section of the brain. So if it chooses to affect a section that controls your hand, one side of the body, then activity will be seen on that side. So you will have like some repeated body movement on one side, wherever, if it's one side, one limb, or wherever side, depending on where the problem is. Okay? But if now it affects the whole body, the whole brain, then you will have the jerking and body movement generalized to the whole brain.
Okay.
But now, apart from that, there is one type that is usually hard to pick and most people miss it. It's called absence seizures. And this is where It's very brief. It is very common in school-going children, about 0 to 15 years there. Where a person suddenly stares in the air, there's lip, maybe bites the lip, and maybe some repetitive mannerism, maybe the hand, the finger just has some repetitive movement, some mannerisms.
Okay.
And it lasts for seconds. Rarely it goes past a minute. It's just less than a minute. And since it is very common in children, it's only the parent who can pick it. Or maybe the teachers, those people who are close to the child. Those are the people who will really pick it. And most of them are mistaken with other things. Maybe they think the child is autistic or one, or they don't want to follow instruction. Because during that period of a few seconds, if you had given instruction, maybe bring a cup, they will not go. They will not go. So you will feel this child is becoming stubborn.
Okay.
So that's why it is very easily to miss it out. Okay?
Oh God.
Yes. So there are so many types, but in a nutshell, that is the most common types that you can pick.
And that one that you're saying, you called it absence?
Absence.
Absence.
Yes. So
does it occur in grown-ups as well, or mostly in children?
yes, it is very common in children, but it can occur in adults also.
And for that one, as much as it's not extensive, like the major one with the seizures and everything, can it progress?
Yes, you can have more than one type as a person. You can have more than one, but okay, most of the time they have one, but you can have even 3 types of them. Because others are called myoclonic jerks, where you just suddenly, they are very brief jerks. Just move your hand 2 times, you're good. They are very brief also. So you can have like multiple of them as a person.
Okay.
But some other instances, you can have it only as one type.
And
Yes.
for you, Catherine, did you get to know which type of epilepsy you are suffering from?
No.
You weren't told.
No.
Doctor, you didn't. You didn't tell her.
Yes,
each time
you know.
she was going through.
You know, anyway, it happens.
Yeah.
When you have this condition sometimes, you know, when she was coming, she told you she was depressed, she was all that. So sometimes you explain to them, they can't really recall that you told them anything about it.
Okay.
Yes, you know.
Okay.
But anyway, it's good since she's coming to the clinic. Next time you meet Daktari, you tell them, now, which type am I suffering in?
Yeah.
So that you're able, anyway, some people you might talk, yes, but then they might be very focused in what drug they will take home because they are interested in getting recovered than what you are talking there, a lot of things.
Were you part of the treatment process for her condition?
Yes, I've been part, although we are several of us.
Okay.
So most of the time, yes, I might not remember because you have seen like 17,000 patients.
That
so
is true.
You might not really remember what is he or she suffering from.
Yeah.
So we have 3 of us. So sometimes you can come meet me. The other time, meet another person.
Okay.
Like she was telling me that in the past a year or 2, she has not met me, so she thought I'm not there.
Not around.
Yes.
But Catherine, you also mentioned about having a newborn baby while experiencing these seizures. So perhaps my question would be, during the period, the pregnancy period, did you ever experience any type of seizure?
No, it was the best time for me.
Really?
I didn't experience seizures for 9 months, but unfortunately, it happened immediately after I delivered my baby.
How was the experience?
Really bad, because I could not even hold my baby for the fear of, dropping the baby.
Yeah.
And most of the times I was alone at home. Yeah.
No one to take care of you?
Yeah, and even at some point I broke my leg.
Oh, no.
When my baby was 2 months, that is. Yeah, because I fell and broke my leg. You can imagine how tough it was.
I know.
Having a newborn baby, the broken leg, home alone. I couldn't afford a house girl. But I overcame.
Okay. And we'll come to the part of, about caregivers, especially for this condition. But let's talk about the injuries that they get to face. So how do you deal with this?
Actually, when she was so lucky because when you were pregnant, the seizures might change. Like for her, they changed. At least they were. She was in the period she was seizure free, but sometimes it might worsen. Sometimes
During pregnancy?
Yes, it might worsen because of the. When you are pregnant, there are so many things that go on that even you cannot have a good explanation on how things are. And she was so lucky with that, because you can even end up losing your baby and fall and injure your baby and you miscarry.
As doctors, you normally don't encourage someone to. Do you encourage someone to get pregnant at that point when they're experiencing seizures?
Life has to move on.
True.
Life has to move on because now she is like any other human being.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she desires to have a family and all that. But now we need precautions. One is we make sure that we advise that patient that seizures might increase, they might reduce. So if you can get someone to be with you during the period, the better, because they will be able to help you in such scenarios. Other things is we also advise them when they go for the ANC clinics, the clinics when they are expectant, to frankly talk to the doctor attending to them about it, so that they also know, because for them they will need supplement a bit earlier than any other person.
Oh, really?
Yes, they will need supplementation, like because of the drugs they are taking, there are some side effects, So they really need close monitoring during that period. So it's good to make the patient aware. Wherever they'll be going, they must talk about the drugs they are taking and the condition they have.
And the drugs they're taking, do they normally affect the baby?
Any drug that you take, it's not recommended during pregnancy. But there are those that are within the acceptable range. But there are those that you cannot take unless you have, it's a life-threatening thing. Like you have tried everything you have, then. So most of our patients, especially the childbearing age in our clinic, we put them on safer drugs that they are not 100% safe. They're safe within acceptable, safer drugs that will, in case they get pregnant, because in Africa, most people do not plan. They just find out, I have not experienced my periods. Already that conception maybe has already occurred. So we make sure that we put them on safe drugs, so that in case they want to get pregnant, yes, we encourage them to tell us and plan, but in case it happens by mistake or whatever, the child doesn't get the injuries.
Okay, and even quickly before we wind up towards the break, you can mention treatment processes for this condition.
The way I've told you about the different types, also it means the treatment is also different with different types. So it's very good as a medical practitioner to identify which type are you working on. So that will guide you on the best drugs. But apart from the anti-seizure medication, the drugs now, we have other treatment options, such as brain excision, where you identify the abnormal part and try to excise it. Although it's a very costly intervention, and not all types you can benefit from that.
It seems risky as well.
Also risky, complications very high. And also it depends with which type. Some places you cannot touch in the brain. Then we have another option where is called vagal stimulation, where it's a pacemaker that arrests the seizure when they come. It's just similar to the pacemaker of the heart. It tries to help you not to get a heart attack, arrest the heart attack. So this one also can arrest the seizure. So that's another one, also very expensive, and not everyone will benefit from it. And then we have the other one of where you take a ketogenic diet, Ketogenic diet is where you do a lot of fat and nil carbs, carbohydrates, and a little bit of proteins. So this one, there's no good documentation of how it works, but all the non-communicable diseases, they tend to, the patient might tend to benefit from the diet.
Okay.
There's no clear mode of action to that, but it can also help, especially for the kids. Yes.
So your case, Catherine, were you recommended for that diet?
Okay, for me,
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to take lots of carbohydrates,
Okay.
and I don't do sugar as well. Yes.
Even sugar
Yeah.
plays a role in triggering.
Yes.
Yeah, you know what propagates the seizure is it needs energy also, and the readily available energy in the brain is usually glucose, and it's very easy for sugar to be sucrose to be converted to sucrose. But it's not that you should not take. You can reduce the portions. Yeah, it might help.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that is a lot to learn about epilepsy. And when was the last time you experienced a seizure?
Last year, February.
Really?
Yes.
1 year plus?
Yes. I even had my drugs reduced from 3 in a day to 2.5.
But you're still taking them?
Yes.
So, Daktari, last question. Is there a possibility of them occurring? Okay, we rebuke that, but is there a possibility of them coming again, or one can get total healing from it?
Just for her, she started the clinic 10 years ago, but the clinic started in 1982. So our first patient is still there. Even the second to the fifth, they are still there. So it shows the kind of work that we do. Second, about her case, like any other disease, chances of recurrence are usually there. But especially if when people feel that they are healed, they start to relax. You find them like they are now not taking on time.
Yeah.
The others forget. That is just the human nature. But in case you follow the instruction to the last minute,
Yeah.
there's possibility of healing totally, and only less than 40% of those who have drugs have been stopped after that a period. It's not a one-off, a period. About 40% is only the chances that you can, less than 40, you can get recurrence.
Okay.
But majority of the patients, they will be like that forever.
Oh, okay. So we pray that no recurrence will come, but clearly consistency is the key.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. And we want to take a short commercial break. After the break, we'll get to see the type of care you as a caregiver can give to the patient in case they experience a seizure. So stay tuned. Don't go too far. This is Health and Wellness. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, remember this is Health and Wellness. My name is Zaitun Ali, and on today's episode, we've been discussing about epilepsy. And joining me on this second part of the show, I have Dr. Brian, a Chief Clinical Officer at KAWE. He'll get to explain to us what KAWE means, but they deal with this condition. And at the first part of the show, we talked about the symptoms, we talked about what causes it, and right now, we just want to see what kind of care can you give to a patient who is suffering from seizures. And a disclaimer, I need to tell you, right? I have my patient right here, Catherine, karibu sana to the show, but we are doing an imitation of how a seizure occurs and what kind of care is being given. So this is not in real life, don't freak out, okay? Karibu sana daktari.
Thank you very much. As our presenter, our host has said, I'm Brian Tabani. I'm the Chief Clinical Officer in Kawe. Kawe has been in existence for the past more than 40 years, and we have done so much to help these patients who suffer in this condition.
What does KAWE mean in full?
So KAWE is a Kenya Association for the Welfare of People with Epilepsy.
Okay.
So it is concentrated to do with matters with epilepsy.
Good. So this is your part of the show. Guide us through.
Yes. So we have our patient here. She's called Catherine Kuria. She has been our patient for a long time, and right now she's almost in a period where we say remission. She gets very little seizures. She will talk to us. Already she had talked to us about the previous life and all that. So today we want to demonstrate what needs to be done in case you find yourself in such a situation, because it can happen anywhere. It can happen in while playing, or maybe there are kids playing on the road, in a hotel. So I will guide through Kate to try to lie down on the couch. Kate, please, you can lie down here, and then thank you. And then you can try to show, like in the active seizures, where you will throw your legs and your limbs slightly for just demonstration purposes. Okay? Yes. So when they are in this state, it's very important to, first of all, make sure the patient is safe. So you remove anything that can harm the patient. They can be on the road or on the roadside, you remove them. Can be on the road, you remove them to the side. They can be next to a pool, you move them from danger. They can be next to tables, you try to move the tables away to create space for them. And then the next thing that you need to do is you make sure, like Hash has some spectacles, you have to remove them because they can easily injure the patient in the state. And then after that, you make sure you take care of the head, because some of them, they can hit objects around them,
Okay.
even the floor. So you can take anything that is soft. It can be a handbag, a jacket, or anything soft. Then you put them under the head. So that will cushion the head from getting more injuries. Then in this state, high chance they will still be convulsing or throwing the limbs and everything. So you give them, mostly it lasts about a minute or two.
Okay.
Then after that, they will have cooled down. Okay? Once they have cooled down, you try to put this upper hand, that is, you put them on the side. Already she's on the side. So you put the upper hand below the head. Then you try to tilt the head a little bit, because some of them, they excrete a lot of saliva, froth, and all that. This will help to open the airway. Okay? So after that, then you stay with the patient until they get alert. And before that, because it's a demonstration, sometimes they will want to roll. They have not really stabilized. So you will put the leg, the top leg will move ahead, and then this one you put back. So this one will act as you fold it. You fold it, and then you put it a little bit ahead, and then this one, it even can be straight. So that will lock the patient from rolling on the other side.
Okay.
Yes, and then you must stay with the patient until he or she is awake. Okay? And once she's awake, you don't start now. You show some love, some compassion.
Yeah.
Because now they will wake up, they might be very confused, they don't know where they are, they don't know what is happening, they might get a lot of people surrounding them, and it will kind of make them uncomfortable. So you make sure you stay with them, and once they are awake, you reassure them, okay? Yes. And then something else, when they are in active conversion, you must time, is just an estimate of how long the seizure has taken.
Yeah.
So if it is above 5 minutes, then that is an emergency. you need to look for ways to make sure that the patient is in hospital as soon as possible.
Okay.
Or in case they have recurrent, before the one they are having ends, another one comes. Before it ends, another one comes. So if there are more than two that have followed each other without breaks in between, then also that is an emergency that you need to rush the patient to hospital as soon as possible. Another instance that will warrant you to look for emergency facilities, if in the process they have injured themselves, maybe they broke their limbs, they were cut with maybe a stone or something, they are bleeding a lot, or they have bitten their tongue in a very severe way,
Oh no.
then you will need to look for emergency facilities as soon as possible.
What about the earrings? Are we supposed to even remove the earring?
The earrings,
Yeah.
not really.
Okay.
Unless they are very long that maybe they can go near the neck. And if they have any tight clothing, maybe they were going in an interview, they have a tie also and tie.
Okay.
And tie around the neck
Okay.
to allow free flow of air in the lungs.
You've even talked about people surrounding the patient.
Yes.
So is it advisable, or you can just tell them maybe to move back to allow the patient to have enough air?
Yeah, so ideally they are supposed to be a bit a distance away,
Okay.
because once they are there, this is a patient who really needs oxygen, and once you are crowded so much, you will not even have space. They will throw the limbs and even can injure you as you are beside her. So it's advised, yes, you can stay there, maybe you want to help, but you maintain a distance, maybe a meter or two from the patient.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that is well understood.
Yeah.
And especially for this condition, how often does it occur? So is it very frequent for other patients? Yes, how often does it occur?
Yeah, so it depends with the patients and even the type of seizures they are getting.
Okay.
Because some respond very, very swift, very good on treatment. Some are a bit stubborn. Some, even diagnosis is delayed. So when you get a patient who the diagnosis has taken long before seeking treatment,
Yeah.
then also in terms of management, it will be a bit stubborn. The seizures will be more and more frequent. They can be more and more frequent even on daily. They can get like 2, 3, even others might get 10 depending on different.
Daily?
Yes. So that is very important. One is to get treatment as soon as possible, because the more you stay, the more the disease progresses. And then another thing is adherence. If you don't take drugs as prescribed by the doctor, then also you might get more and more seizures.
Okay.
So it's very important to keep that. And the other thing could be you avoid some things called triggers. Triggers are things that can provoke your seizures, can make your seizures to be a little bit exaggerated.
For example?
For example, maybe you have an acute illness, you get an acute illness, malaria, typhoid, pneumonia. So that one can provoke the seizures to be a little bit more than normal. So this is a person, when you have this condition, it means in case you feel a little bit body, you think it has some issues, you need to seek attention as soon as possible to the doctor, so that in case there is a pneumonia coming, it is sorted as early as much as enough, so that you reduce the frequent seizures.
Okay.
Yes.
And at this point, is the patient aware of what perhaps happened? Is she conscious enough to remember?
Yeah, so it depends, because some seizures you might know that something has happened. Yes, you might not really recall every step, but you know there is some disconnect somewhere that has happened to you. But majority of the cases, they don't remember, because in that state, it affects the memory issues.
Okay.
The memory and most of your senses, hearing, seeing, it is affected. So meaning you will not remember that period that you had the seizure. You cannot remember the flow of things. That's why when you wake up, you find a crowd, you'll be surprised what is happening, because you can't remember even them coming to help you.
Okay.
Yes.
And for the ones that prolong more than even 5 minutes, you mentioned that's an emergency.
Yes.
What causes this prolongation of the seizure?
So it can be caused by several things. One, the most common cause, if you are on treatment, because if you are not on treatment, also
Yeah.
you will get a very prolonged one. But if you are on treatment, now maybe the other things I've talked about, adherence issues, maybe at times you skip, at times you delay taking medicine,
Yeah.
and other triggers like an acute infection, maybe you started to abuse drugs, you are under stressful environment, maybe you have lost a loved one.
Yeah.
So those are some of the triggers, and even in ladies, hormonal imbalance can also trigger such seizures. So it is important to really understand yourself. Not all of them will come at once. Yes, they might, but not all of them. So it's you as a patient to try and pick, or a caregiver, to try and pick which are these triggers that put me in such. And if you can really avoid them, that will be the best.
Okay.
Yes.
Talking about caregivers, maybe you can give some pointers to those who are taking care of people living with this condition.
Caregivers, caregivers mostly, okay, I will be a bit biased to children because those are the people who really depend on their parents
that is
to,
true.
to take care of them. So the first thing that you need to understand is if they have this condition, you need to pay attention to all the details that the doctor tells you or gives. So these instructions will help you to really avoid a lot of seizure, because most of them can be avoided with these triggers that I've talked about. But another thing that is very important to you is to make sure that this child, especially the school-going children, most school we have a lot of sporting activities. So there's those sporting activities that are a bit not encouraged to these people, such as swimming, because the worst thing is that most of the deaths in patients with epilepsy is due to the complications of a seizure. It can occur when they are in the pool, and maybe there is no one to save them out. So they end up drowning, not dying because they have a seizure, but they end up drowning in the state. Or cooking. They are encouraged not to be near fire. Because,
Really?
Yes, because unless they are with someone who can take care of them. Because like her, she's a mom, maybe she needs to cook.
Yeah.
Maybe she has a husband, she needs to cook. So we don't say that now don't cook at all, especially if your seizures are well controlled. We don't say that now you never cook. You can cook, but you must have someone who can save you in that state, who can move you from the danger, because you will end up burning.
But
Yes, you can end up, you can have a seizure, you are near a fire, and you end up burning. Because you're in that state, you will not know that you are burning. You will continue burning until when you recover, and it might be too late for you.
And other than all those factors you've mentioned, what also causes death for these patients when they're experiencing the seizure?
So mostly, as I said before, it's like any disease can lead to death, especially if it's not well managed. So it can lead to death. And other things that can lead to death is the complications that I was talking about, where it occurs and maybe you are in a highway and a vehicle hits you and then you die. Then apart from that, you can also die, although it's very rare, it's called SUDEP, where there is sudden unexpected brain death.
Oh, it can happen.
Where there is no really good explanation, but it's very common to people who have poorly controlled seizures.
Okay.
Yes. So I think the take home here is to make sure that you get as few, or even you become seizure free. that will help you, and you might die with anything else anyway.
Yeah.
But you can die
Okay,
with
really dark,
anything
but
else.
yeah.
Yes, yes.
For Kawe, maybe you can just let us know what solution are you bringing home to these patients?
So Kawe, we have almost 3 major programs that really help these patients, and one of them is knowledge management. Like what we are doing, we are trying to educate the public about it, because these people face a lot of discrimination, even in workplaces, in schools. Kids are chased away. They say they are demon possessed and all that. So we want to create a lot of awareness in the society, so that they accept this condition like any other, like cancer, like HIV. At least now the stigma in HIV has really reduced, like HIV and others. So we want to create a lot of awareness in that, and we are happy you as KTN or Star Group, you have came up to at least make your listeners know about this, because now, apart from the awareness, we do also a bit of training, and this training is more to the professionals.
Caregivers or?
Yes, they will have the caregivers, but caregivers is more of a sensitization bit, how to take care of this, how to take care of this, how to give medicine and all that. But now the professionals also, we usually do like last year we did almost like 4 counties where we did a lot of trainings to the primary healthcare professionals.
Okay.
These are the nurses and clinical officers, because these are the closest facilities to these people.
Yeah.
So we capacity build them so that they can be able to take care of these patients the best way and updated way.
Okay.
So we try to do that. The other thing would be the healthcare support or the clinical support. Like here we have a clinic which is a demonstration clinic to show that epilepsy is treatable at the lowest level of care and affordable.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like we have proved that about $5 a month you can sort. You can be able to control to manage this condition through the drugs and also the visits. $5 is enough for you, and $5 is very little money. Even right now, a flu, you will find yourself using more than that. So
Kenyans like you using our currency. So
Yes.
$5 sahi ni imefika ngapi?
Yeah,
130
right now,
times 5.
That's around 130 times 5.
Hiyo ni kama 6K.
Around, no. 130 times 5.
650. Well,
Yes, it's
mathematics.
less than 1,000. It's less than 1,000. It's about 500 to 700 there.
Okay.
Yes. So that's enough for a month. And then we have another program where we influence and partnership. We partner with the other organizations that maybe have similar way of thinking like us. And at the moment, health is devolved, so we try to partner with counties.
Okay.
So far, we have partnered with Kilifi, Tharaka Nithi, and Machakos County, and very soon we are even going to Kisii.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that will help the counties to prioritize matters to do with epilepsy.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're so grateful that you're creating awareness out there. Also, if you have a patient who is suffering from this condition, feel free even to reach out to Dr. Brian.
Yes.
Wanaweza kupata wapi?
So I will give you the 3 clinics, the model clinics. I've said the model clinics because we want also to show that, you know, you can't tell someone that you can treat this condition with this amount, and you don't have your model to show that it is possible. So we have 3 clinics in Nairobi. The first one is in Karen Health Center, which is located just in Karen behind the police station
where we are
today. And it runs on every Wednesday except a public holiday.
Okay.
Then on a Thursday we are in Ruta Health Center. It's located in Kawangware. So that one runs on every Thursday until it's a public holiday. unless it's a public holiday. Then on Friday, we are in Huruma Lions Health Center. It's located in Huruma. So it runs on Friday, every Friday, unless it's a public holiday.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. It's good to see that healthcare is now affordable and easily accessible to all. And thank you also for joining us on this show, Health and Wellness. From the beginning until the end, I'm so grateful. And in case you missed this episode, find it on YouTube at KTN Home. And on our socials, on X, on Instagram, at KTN Home _, at Ali _Zaitun. Until next time.